This will be the first of two lectures devoted to scenes and sequences in film. I've written sequences in parentheses as what we generally think of as scenes and what audiences in particular think of as scenes. Filmmakers might think of as sequences or multiple scenes with a single main narrative strand or dramatic purpose. But more on that later. The scriptwriting guru, Sid Field, famously stated that good scenes make good movies. When you think of a good movie, you remember scenes, not the entire film. And to demonstrate just how much merit this has, I'm going to show you a few famous movie scenes which illustrate the power of the scene. To begin with, I'd like to show you one of the most famous scenes from all movies of all time. A film your grandparents will know better than you. And so to make up the generation gap, I'll just say something about the main characters and summarize the plot. Rick, a hard-boiled, cynical American, runs a nightclub in Casablanca during the Second World War. He professes not to be interested in politics, but only in making money and doing his own thing. Casablanca is controlled by Vichy France and the Germans. Rick, through his associations with the criminal underworld, gets hold of 2 letters of transit, passes that will enable the holders to travel freely across occupied Europe and hence out of the Nazi sphere of influence. So these are gold dust, tickets to escape back to America and to freedom. We do not know what Rick will do with them. During the film, we discover the reasons for Rick's sick and bitter soul. The woman he loved abandoned him in Paris. And guess what? She turns up in his nightclub in Casablanca. As Rick puts it, of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine. Anyhow, it turns out Ilsa, his love, only left him because she discovered her husband, whom she thought was dead, was actually still alive. The husband, Laszlo, is an anti-Nazi resistance leader and hero and needed help as he was sick. Rick forgives Ilsa for leaving him and they acknowledge their love. Rick agrees to give one of his letters of transit to her husband to leave, so Laszlo can go free to carry on the resistance, and Ilsa resolves to stay in Casablanca with Rick, the man she really loves. And in the following scene, in which Rick turns up at the airport with Laszlo and Ilsa, so Laszlo can get out of Casablanca and away from Nazi influence, is the denouement of the film.
Louis, have your man go with Mr. Laszlo and take care of his luggage.
Certainly, Rick. Anything you say. Find Mr. Laszlo's luggage and put it on the plane.
Yes, sir. This way, please. If you don't mind, you fill in the names. That'll make it even more official.
You think of everything, don't you?
And the names are Mr. and Mrs. Victor Laszlo.
But why my name, Richard?
Because you're getting on that plane.
I don't understand. What about you?
I'm staying here with him till the plane gets safely away.
No, Richard, no. What has happened to you? Last night
Last night we said a great many things. You said I was to do the thinking for both of us. Well, I've done a lot of it since then. It all adds up to one thing. You're getting on that plane with Victor where you belong.
But, Richard, no,
Now, you've got to listen to me. You have any idea what you'd have to look forward to if you stayed here? 9 chances out of 10, we'd both wind up at a concentration camp. Isn't that true, Louis?
I'm afraid Major Strasser would insist.
You're saying this only to make me go.
I'm saying it because it's true. Inside of us, we both know you belong with Victor. You're part of his work, the thing that keeps him going. If that plane leaves the ground and you're not with him, you'll regret it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon and for the rest of your life.
But what about us?
We'll always have Paris. We didn't have. We lost it until you came to Casablanca. We got it back last night.
When I said I would never leave you.
And you never will. But I've got a job to do, too. Where I'm going, you can't follow. What I've got to do, you can't be any part of. Ilsa, I'm no good at being noble, but it doesn't take much to see that the problems of 3 little people don't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world. Someday you'll understand that. Now. He's looking at you, kid.
So why is this scene regarded as one of the iconic ones in cinema history? Okay, it's the denouement of the film, so the culmination of the drama, but more than this, it's the moment when Rick makes a moral choice, giving up the woman he loves for her benefit, the benefit of her husband, and the benefit of the resistance to the Nazis, sacrificing his own happiness for a bigger cause, and hence revealing his character, that of a true hero. So it's the moment Rick, the cynical, world-weary nightclub owner, becomes the moral creature he actually is. And remember, this film was made during the war, when sacrificing one's own happiness for the greater good was essential. Okay, let's skip to another iconic scene. This next clip is from Scorsese's Taxi Driver, in which Travis Bickle, a truly modern American hero, is both taxi driver and psychopath. This is him as he decides to take on society and its outcasts.
Faster than you. I saw you coming, you fucking shitheel. I'm standing here. You make the move. You make the move. It's your move. I'll try it, you. You talking to me? You talking to me? You talking to me? Well, then who the hell else are you talking to? You talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here. Who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Oh, yeah? Huh? Okay. Huh? Listen, you fuckers, you screwheads. Here is a man who would not take it anymore. Who would not let... Listen, you fuckers, you screwheads. Here is a man who would not take it anymore. A man who stood up against the scum, the cunts, the dogs, the filth, the shit. Here is someone who stood up. Here is...
Of course, the irony is that as Travis keeps talking about standing up, he is lying down and sleeping like a little child, curled up like a fetus. And the film is full of irony as he's planning to kill a politician but ends up killing a pimp. So his psychotic act is celebrated by the community instead of being condemned by it. Let's look at something completely different. Mel Brooks's The Producers. The plot's complex, ridiculous and hilarious, and it's in the spirit of slapstick and satirical comedy. So it doesn't need explaining beyond saying that the producers, in order to make extra money, decide to put on a play that will be a flop and thereby avoid having to return money to investors. The play they put on is called Springtime for Hitler, and it opens like this.
Germany was having trouble, what a sad, sad story. Needed a new leader to restore its former glory. Where, oh, where was he? Where could that man be? We looked around, and then we found the man for you and me. And now it's springtime for Hitler and Germany. Deutschland is happy and gay. We're marching to a faster pace. Look out, here comes the master race. Springtime for Hitler and Germany. Winter for to France. Springtime for Hitler and Germany. Come on, Germans, go into your dance.
I was born in Dusseldorf, and that is why they call me Rolf.
Don't be stupid, be a smarty. Come and join the Nazi party.
So comedy, extreme comedy, music and dance, think about what you can do with that. And from extreme comedy to extreme violence, to Michael Cimino's The Deer Hunter. In this film, 3 American soldiers, Mike, Stephen and Nick, are captured and held by the Vietnamese, who force them to play Russian roulette for their entertainment. Nick breaks down and refuses, so they are thrown into an underwater cage full of rats and dead bodies. The only way for them not to die is to agree to play some more for the guards' entertainment. This time the gun is loaded with not 1, but 3 bullets, and Mike and Nick are forced to play. Let's watch how it pans out.
Now we got ourselves a game. You and me.
Im! Nói chừng nó. Mau. Cầm xuống mau.
Rồi nha.
Mau.
Giang ra.
Im.
Cầm bao nhiêu? Đúng không? Đúng rồi.
Im. Cầm xuống mau.
No more.
Mau. Mau.
I'm gonna Willis out of here.
Mau.
You got an empty chamber in that gun.
Mau.
Put an empty chamber in that gun.
Mau.
Mau!
Mau. Mau.
God damn it! It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot. You shoot, Nicky.
Ngồi chỗ đây.
You mate.
Ngồi chỗ đây.
No, Nicky. Oh, you got. Oh, you're gonna die, you motherfucker. You're gonna die.
Mau.
Go ahead, Nicky. Go ahead. Just do it. Do it. Go ahead. Chính ngay. Alright, we're gonna show him.
Tất cả mọi người im. Cầm súng mau. Mau.
Okay, so a massively emotionally tense scene which functions to allow the story to move to its next stage, escape, but also provides an insight into character and provides a foregrounding of the more terrible action to come in the ultimate mental breakdown of Nick. So, back to Field, who rightly, I think, sees the scene as a building block for development of a script. The scene is the single most important element in your screenplay. It's where something happens, where something specific happens. It's a particular unit or cell of dramatic or comedy action, the place in which you tell your story. And, according to Field, the purpose of the scene is to do one or two of two things: to move the story forward and/or to reveal something about character. If you can do both at once, all well and good. So let's take a look at the Peter Weir film Green Card, as I'd like to show you a scene which is on the one hand memorable for both its comedy and drama, but is also about moving the story onwards. So to set the context, Bronte Parish and Georges Fauvre get married for two reasons. He's an illegal alien and needs a green card, which is a card that enables a foreigner to stay in the US. And she wants a dream rooftop apartment only available to married couples. It's a complicated plot, but to foil immigration officials, they are forced to live together for a while, and they do not get along. He's an angry working class, beer drinking, smoking, meat eating bum, a slob, and Bronte is a middle class, vegetarian environmentalist, snobbish and cold. Now the rich parents of Bronte's best friend Laurent are planning to sell up and leave New York. Bronte has asked them to leave the beautiful trees in their garden to an environmental group devoted to improving the lives of inner city children, but they refuse her. Bronte is at a dinner party hosted by the parents when her mischievous friend Laurent turns up with guess who? Georges, the intensely annoying and fake husband who has told Laurent that he's a musician. Nobody knows about their illegal arrangement, and nobody knows they are married, and the audience don't know if George is a musician or not, as it appears he just made it up when he got caught out by Lauren. Okay, so that's the background. This is the scene, or sequence actually, though I don't want to get technical about this just yet.
At last.
Hi, Mother. This is Georges Faure from Paris.
Hi.
Oh?
Come on in, George. George is Bronte's house guest, but she was too shy to bring him. You don't mind, do you, Mother?
But of course
I
not.
went to pick up Bronte and found him all alone.
Soyez le bienvenu. Do come in.
George is a very important composer, Mother, so you two will have lots to talk about.
Oh, très intéressant, monsieur.
Mother plays the piano a little. Get it? A little.
Alberto. Another place, if you will.
Everybody, I'd like to present Georges Faure, a leading French composer.
Ah, bonsoir.
Good evening.
You see the man sitting across from you?
Do you live in Paris, George?
Bronte, he was all by himself. I really think he wanted to come out.
It's okay. It's okay.
Simon and Grace are about to celebrate their 40th wedding anniversary. Congratulations.
How long have you been married?
Are you married, George?
Me? Well, not usually.
Whatever do you mean?
Well, not normally.
You're getting divorced.
Yes, definitely.
B, you'll never get married.
What makes you say that?
Oh, you've turned down enough offers. You're gonna wind up some kind of grand old Kate Hepburn surrounded by lots of beautiful plants.
Most men I know are too boring or too vulgar to spend the rest of your life with.
Change your brand of men.
Oh, really?
Really, B. You're nice. You look for the same thing in the man, and you wind up with two nices.
Nice. Ugh, what an awful word.
Well, Phil's nice, isn't he?
Phil's different. He's a gardener.
Are you any relation?
Relation?
Any relation to the boy?
Who the?
The boy, Gabriel. I love his chamber music and his compositions for the harp. So sensual.
We depend on donations. And we just don't have any plans. If you could see how these gardens change these children's lives, they just don't
I
have...
hear what you say, and I do hope you understand, Bronte, but to break up that garden would be a crime. See, I just can't do it, dear. The pleasure it's given me that it'll give to, well, to whoever buys the place. You do understand.
And now, Georges Forêt.
Oh, yeah, George.
No,
Please.
no, I don't play well, you know. I'm not writing.
Please, George. One of your earlier pieces, perhaps.
We should be going.
Yes, we really must go. George has jet lag.
Oh, why not, George? Just one piece.
Oh, do you mind? It isn't often we have a Forêt in the house.
Yes, that's true.
Come on, George.
Yes. Ah.
He's not Mozart.
I know.
Could you translate for me, madame?
Widow.
Une fois, j'ai entendu le bruit du vent dans les arbres.
Once I heard the sound of the wind in the trees. I think that's it.
Une fois, j'ai entendu le bruit du rire des enfants.
Once I heard the sound of the laughter of children.
Et j'ai pleuré à chaudes larmes pour ces arbres perdus.
And I wept warm, salted tears for the lost trees.
Laissez venir les petits enfants dans les arbres et je leur donnerai de l'espoir, il a dit.
Let the little children come unto the trees, and I will give them hope, he said.
Mais il n'y a plus d'arbres pour ces pauvres enfants perdus.
But there are no trees for the poor, lost, poor children.
La pourriture est leur jouet.
Decay is their toy.
La décadence est leur jeu.
Despair is their game.
Ils n'ont que des ordures à escalader.
They have only chaos to climb.
Bravo! 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 Magnifique!
I think you just got your trees.
So what does the sequence provide? Tension. We're anxious that the secret might come out, and also anxious whether or not George can actually play the piano or will make a fool of himself. There's humour, of course, and a hint of sexual excitement with the wild piano playing. And also incredible emotional power. Call me sentimental, but the bit about the lost children having no trees to climb really tugs at the heartstrings. And in relation to the function of the scene, we have a key plot point. Bronte gets her trees. George shows himself to be a sensitive, caring and romantic human being, and hence this is a key turning point at which their relationship changes. Hostility turns to love, and the story moves on in a new direction. So always ask yourself, when writing any scene, what is the function of this scene in my story? How does it drive the story forward? How does it relate to character? What will the emotional effect on the audience be? And thinking of emotional effect, let's take a look at a couple more examples. I'm going to start with one of the most famous scenes from one of the greatest movies of all time. Spartacus charts the rise of one of the great revolutionary heroes of history, of how from slavery Spartacus rose to create a rebel army of slaves, which defeated legion upon legion of the most powerful army ever seen on earth, and humiliated the mighty Roman Empire, before finally succumbing in battle thanks to the treachery of the Cilician pirates. In this scene, the rebels now defeated, the Roman leader Crassus goes looking for Spartacus amongst the dying, dead and captured of the slave army.
Have we a count of prisoners?
We haven't made the final count, sir.
I bring a message from your master, Marcus Licinius Crassus, commander of Italy. By command of his most merciful excellency, your lives are to be spared. Slaves you were, and slaves you remain. But the terrible penalty of crucifixion has been set aside on the single condition that you identify the body or the living person of the slave called Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
So it's in this defeat that they show the final triumph of the human spirit. The Romans may torture, kill and enslave them, but they cannot break their solidarity nor will. Slaves they may be, but their spirit is triumphant and free. And it's in this moment that Crassus recognizes that the Roman Empire and everything it represents, everything he believes in, will ultimately collapse. And here's something quite different, a disturbing but emotionally powerful scene from Blue Velvet.
Spread your legs. Wider. Now show it to me. Don't you fucking look at me. Oh, Mommy! Mommy! Mommy. Mommy loves you. Baby wants to fuck. Get ready to fuck! You fuckers fucker! You fucker! Don't you fucking look at me! What's Blue Velvet?
And whilst the violent psychopathic Frank's behaviour is most obviously shocking, the fact Dorothy appears to take some masochistic pleasure in it is equally appalling. And in a similar way that it was Dorothy's pleasure that disturbs us, here we have a scene from Cabaret, set in 1930s Germany, in which Max and Brian are enjoying a drink in a rural beer garden. And this time it's the harmonious social joy of the participants that disturbs us.
The stag in the forest runs free, but gather together to greet the storm. Tomorrow belongs to me. The branch of the linden is leafy and green. The Rhine gives its goat to the sea, but somewhere a glory awaits unseen. Tomorrow belongs to me.
control room?
Here, don't we have fascist pleasure at its most seductive? A celebration of locality, of nature, the sun, the meadow, the stag, of shared community in adversity. They gather together to meet the storm, the hope of something better from a people that has suffered. The morning will come when the world is mine. You can hear the desire in that. Patriotism, strength and determination, the call to stand up and be counted. Arise, arise, the whole community singing together in unity. Of course, the film suggests this fascist inclusion implies an exclusion of the other. The Jewish guy remains seated and silent. The gays depart. Fascist inclusion, like all forms of inclusion, I suppose, is based on exclusion and exclusivity. In this case, only the white Aryan Herrenvolk will own the future as they sing together in their fascist harmony, tomorrow belongs to me. Good job our patriotic songs aren't like that. As regards scene length, well, how long is a piece of string? It depends upon what you need it for, upon its dramatic and narrative function. So it could be a single shot or a multiple page dialogue scene. So, how do you write a scene? Well, in terms of formatting, you always start with the location, interior or exterior, followed by the place and the time, usually simply day or night. So let's say we are interior, classroom, day. Then you have your action written across the page and your dialogue written across a narrower margin. Tutor: shut up and listen to me. The students go silent and stare at the tutor. He picks up his briefcase and walks angrily out of the room. And how do you end a scene? Quite simply, with the beginning of a new one. Exterior, street outside university. Day. The tutor emerges from the university, briefcase in hand, a world-weary expression on his face. He crosses the road and walks into a bar. Interior, bar, evening. The briefcase is lying flat on the floor. There are 4 empty whiskey glasses on the table. The tutor is downing his 5th. And of course the drunk tutor allows for him leaving behind his briefcase in which all those important student assignments are kept. One thing to note, a scene is not the same thing as a sequence. A sequence is one unit of dramatic action which may run over a number of scenes. For example, a car chase which takes place in a number of different locations would be a sequence and would almost certainly involve writing a number of scenes. Or if 2 characters move from the living room into the hallway, it's a new scene, though the dialogue may be part of a continuous sequence. And the reason for this is one to do with the film production process. Because every time you have a new location, you need a new camera setup and hence a new scene. This also applies to time. So if you've finished a romantic lovemaking scene at night, and you cut to the lovers getting out of bed in the morning, that's a new scene. It might be the same location with the same characters, but the light is different, the time is different. There will be a new setup and so a new scene. So I'd just like to end with a task, or rather tasks, you should complete by next week. Plot out the scenes from your film on scene cards, 1 per scene. A scene card is just a piece of card, about half the size of a postcard, on which you can write. Just put the scene name, the characters, and summarise the action and purpose in a line or 2. There's no need to write any dialogue at this stage, unless it's a key phrase. Having your scenes on cards enables you to play with them, rearranging them to dramatic effect. Make sure you know the purpose of the scene. How does it drive the story forward? How does it relate to character? Begin writing your scenes. Next week, you can redraft and improve them.